Why 10 million men have given up on work. What's up, y'all? We got a real interesting video today we reacted to from How Money Works. Y'all, I was working 3 jobs in 2024, so I'm all about staying on the grind. I'm all about staying consistent, man, pushing after, getting after your goals. So this is a real shocker to me, and I want to see why y'all ain't on that type of timing, man. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe. We're on the road to 1K. See what they talking about.
4 years ago, America and the rest of the world saw its most intense spike in unemployment in recorded history.
I'm gonna turn subtitles off too, y'all. My bad. We just gonna listen.
In today's news cycle, that is ancient history. But what isn't ignored is what has been left behind. There are now over 10 million people, mostly men in America, who are not working, not studying, not retired, and not institutionalized. They are
What's that called? Like the NEETs. So, I mean, let's hear them out a little bit before I even say anything, right? I don't want to interrupt too much. You know what I mean?
doing.
This is a reaction channel, though, y'all. So don't get mad at the pausing. I will have all the original videos in the description, though.
Nothing. COVID accelerated this trend,
right,
but it's been going on for decades. Since the 1960s, about 0.1% of American men have given up on work to never come back every single month. So why are so many people giving up so consistently? And more importantly, how are these people surviving without a job in this economy?
Mama's crib, mama's house, ramen noodles. You know what I mean?
In October, Mississippi's labor force participation rate was nearly 54%, while
We're
the national rate was
hiring.
over 62%.
And y'all, man, these signs are cap, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. Now I know I kind of have an idea of like why men might be giving up, you guys, because a lot of I mean, I've fortunately I was fortunate enough to have 3 jobs to work last year while I was in school, while I was doing YouTube. But I mean, the process of getting a job nowadays, like going on Indeed, bro, that it literally seems like pointless to go on these like Indeed, LinkedIn, you know what I'm saying? Like all these like online job, you know, looking for a job online, bro, because you can really apply to like 100 jobs, you know what I'm saying, over the course of 1 week and literally not hear anything back. You can call to reach out and, you know, you don't get a response from anybody. So it's irritating. It's crazy how everybody's hiring, but nobody's hiring at the same time. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
These 2 websites.
It's been over 1,000 combined.
They're not working and they're not looking for a job,
Right.
and those are the folks who we have to get into the labor market.
Why aren't some Americans getting back to work? It's the million-dollar question.
There are a lot of reasons why someone might not participate in the labor force. They might have retired, they might be still studying for qualifications, there might be people who are too sick to work, stay-at-home spouses, members of the military who are clearly working but don't officially count as part of the labor force, and then of course there are just really rich people who don't need to work to maintain their lifestyle.
Of course.
These groups have always existed, but there is a new group growing alongside them, which are people who have just given up. The fastest growing group of these labor force dropouts have been men between the ages of 25 and 55.
25
Men in
and
this
55.
age range would typically be in the prime of their careers, but more and more of them are not working at all. Now, some of this can simply be explained by the fact that more women have entered the workforce. In fact, up until 2008, women were entering the workforce almost as quickly as men were leaving it. Some men just took on domestic roles as stay-at-home husbands while their wives or partners focused on their careers instead. According to Pew Research, young
Stay-at-home husbands. Y'all, I'm not married, bro. Y'all wife letting y'all pull that off? Whose wife is letting them pull that off? You gotta be different. You gotta be different to pull off being a stay-at-home husband. I'm not and not get divorced. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. And this is interesting because, I mean, sure, it makes sense that, like, you know, if men are leaving the jobs, then, you know, women are entering the jobs, then, you know, it kind of makes sense that, like how the growing population of men out of work is like why that's happening. But I mean, there's at the same time, there's a lot of jobs like construction, you know what I mean? You know, just like labor intensive jobs that women are not doing. So, you know, I'm curious to hear like what he has to say on that though.
Young women are now
I mean, and sure, like we saw some ladies in some hard hats, you know what I mean? But like, y'all know what I'm saying, bro. Like women are not trying to, ain't no girls trying to be out here on the oil rig out here, you know, drilling in the street. So let's see.
earning significantly more than young men in most major cities in America. Young women are also graduating college at higher rates than men.
Right.
So it makes sense that a growing group of men are tossing aside typical gender roles and doing work that doesn't get counted as typical employment. If this were the whole story, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with this. But let's be honest. Having a stay-at-home parent, no matter what gender they are, is a luxury that most people simply cannot afford in the modern age, especially young people who are the fastest growing group of labor force dropouts. There is something more going on here. Nicholas Eberstadt is a political economist who published the book Men Without Work, which tracked the trend of working-age men simply giving up on work and largely removing themselves from society in the process. His book, which was first published in 2016, lines up perfectly with a 2022 study on the issue conducted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which found that men without a...
Let's read that, y'all. At the same time, non-college men's earnings, measured as a share of the average earnings of all prime-age workers, have fallen by more than 30% since 1980. Word. So basically, if you don't have a college degree, not only are you not really getting money, but you're getting less money than you could back then. So it's starting to come together. I didn't really think about this when I started the video, but I mean, you look at something like this, right? Like non-college educated men back then were making a larger percent of the money. You didn't need as many qualifications to find jobs, right? On top of that, with inflation, prices of everything rising every single year, your job versus the cost of living, like the gap between that is getting so much higher. So I can understand that people might be giving up because they feel like they can't compete. I just don't have that type of mindset, bro. Like it's kind of like you just gotta adapt, bro. Because if you give up, like if you don't work, like what's like, what can you achieve? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. Let's keep listening, man.
2022 study on the issue conducted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, which found that men without a college degree in particular were dropping out of work because their earnings power was significantly lower than their peers who did have a 4-year degree.
Right. In college, you guys, I'm in college right now and I'm working still, not 3 jobs. It's just so like, it's not staying in school to get your degree so that you could find a job almost doesn't even feel like the solution because of how unaffordable college is, bro. Like I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where I have no debt, bro, and I got like half a year left. But you guys, I mean, it's people going to college. They don't even know what they want to do. End up getting $500,000 in debt. Sure, you got a degree, but now you got, $500,000 in debt. Now you can't find a job after college because they keep raising the qualification. So college not even the answer, bro.
That's not unusual because college-educated people should expect to earn more than non-college educated workers on average. But the finding found that the gap between the two groups had widened significantly, especially amongst college-educated versus non-college educated men. Now, this was particularly surprising to the researchers because it would actually make more sense that higher income workers would drop out of the labor force because if they are earning a lot of money, they have a better chance of marrying a higher earning spouse or just saving up more money for an early retirement. Instead, they found the opposite. The group that earned less were more likely to drop out of work. And yes, before you ask, the study did account for the fact that people not working won't be making an income, so they would automatically be in the non-working low-income group. Now, since men are now overrepresented in non-college graduates, they were the largest group of people giving up on work. But even though it's tempting to make this an entirely gender-specific issue, and to be honest, it would make for a more engaging YouTube video, there are some bigger forces at play here. The reason that people with lower incomes were dropping out was simply because they had less to lose and more to gain. Most unskilled jobs cannot buy you a comfortable lifestyle basically anywhere in America anymore. And as more people tie their identity and social status to their work and income, it's become much harder to accept unglamorous service positions. If you were given 2 options, honestly consider which one you would choose. You could scrape by working a few minimum wage jobs where you are on your feet dealing with customers and managers all day. A job where you are unlikely to advance too far without a degree, and you won't have much time or energy left at the end of the day to pursue side projects. You might also be working a job that you aren't.
That's not true, man. That's really not true, bro. It's not that you don't have the energy. It's that you're not really really motivated, bro. You can work a few side jobs and still have time to work on whatever your side business is. I'm literally proof of that, bro. I don't have the best situation, but like like I don't understand like why people aren't motivated to improve their situation, bro. Sure, things suck. Sure, your job might suck. You know what I mean? It may not seem like there's hope, but one thing is guaranteed: if you give up, things will only get worse. Things will not improve if you get like y'all. I just don't understand the mindset, bro. I'm just not.
Exactly proud
I
to
just
share with your
don't get it,
friends,
man.
family, or romantic
I
interests.
just don't get
The
it.
other
bro.
option is that you could scrape by on whatever government programs or family support you could find. Maybe work on some side projects in your spare time, or just fill your day with low-cost recreation like playing video games. I would like to think I appreciate the value of a hard day's work, but I have always had the luxury of a prestigious career and successful business. Given these specific options, how would you choose to spend your day? If you are brave enough, go ahead and share it in the comments below, so people on the internet can call you a bootlicker or a lazy zoomer respectively. Now, the second option also has the advantage that if someone asks you what you do for work, you can just tell them that you are working on a new business or taking some time off. The Fed study found that this was one of the biggest reasons people didn't want to take on jobs that they thought were beneath them. Now, no matter what side of the fence,
Man, y'all gotta like stop caring like what people's opinion of your job is, bro. Like you have to do what you have to do. How you gonna say something is beneath you with nothing to your name? Like with no prospects, no hope for life, y'all. Like I hear these reasons. It just doesn't, you know what, like I just can't see myself being in one of these men's shoes, bro. Like I don't know what it is, man. Like I just don't understand. How don't you have the drive to improve? Like how don't you? That's not even something that needs to be taught. Like I don't get
you
it,
are on,
man.
this issue affects
I
us
don't
all.
get it.
These millions of people are out of work at the same time as we have major issues with worker shortages in our most important industries. And this trend is only going to get worse unless something changes. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how these people are surviving without work and what it means for the rest of the workforce if they never come back.
Right.
This week's video is sponsored by Brilliant
Shout out to the sponsor, man. We gonna get there one day.
interpretation skills. Exercise lesson exercises it's into your making it incredible. Their introduction
money,
building the
get
few
your money,
early
get your money.
retirees
All right,
that made a
let's
lot
be
of money
back.
at a young age. Most of the people who are not working and are not looking for work are living extremely basic lives. Eberstadt's research went beyond the broader demographic studies and focused a lot on trying to figure out what these people were actually doing with their time. Now, the next few minutes are going to contain some hard-to-swallow pills, and even though Eberstadt is sometimes a bit direct with the way he lays out the facts, his research and his recommendations address some of the most important issues in our society. He found through national surveys that the average man not in work or looking for work was basically doing what you might expect. They were sitting at home, spending a majority of time behind a screen.
Right.
Most of them contribute very little to looking after other members of a household, and they were underrepresented in other civic activities like volunteering, even though they had more free time than their peers who worked or studied. He also poked holes in the idea that a lot of these men had just become stay-at-home spouses taking care of chores to support their working partner, a role that was, in the past, typically performed by women. Unfortunately, according to the federal survey data he collated, the average labor force dropout spent an equal amount of time on household care as the average employed woman, and 5 minutes less per day than the average unemployed man, who would theoretically be spending at least some of their time looking for a new job. What they were spending their time on was leisure activities and sleeping. The average person who had dropped out of the labor force was also far less likely to have children or a partner, and Eberstadt theorized that there were two reasons for this. The first reason was that children, dating, and a family life are expensive commitments that people trying to get by without a job just simply wouldn't be able to afford.
Of course.
The second reason was that people with a family to support were inherently more motivated to go out and provide, even if it meant working a job.
That makes sense too, but like how aren't you motivated to like start your own family, bro? Like how aren't you motivated to get things together so that you can get a girlfriend or a wife, so that you can have children, so that you can give to your children, so that you can continue your blood? Like how, like you guys, how aren't you motivated to continue your bloodline, bro? I don't, bro, like
that a single person wouldn't. Of course, this is a large sample size, and there are plenty of people with children who don't work and plenty of couples totally outside of the labor force as well. But even without these typical responsibilities, daily life is still very expensive. Government benefits for people out of work typically only extend to those people who are either actively seeking work or cannot work because of an illness or disability. The exact makeup of these assistance programs varies state to state. And of course, outside of America, different countries have different levels of social welfare. But America is where this trend has been most pronounced, and it's also where a bulk of the research on this trend has been done. So as anybody who has ever tried to apply for government welfare in America will tell you, the burden of proof to qualify for these payments can be exceptionally high, with the only real exception being COVID-era stimulus, where arguably the burden of proof for payments was too low. Saying you need unemployment payments because you would prefer to stay at home all day vaping and playing Fortnite isn't going to fly with Uncle Sam. What Eberstadt did find, though, was that it had become much easier for people to qualify for disability payments, which in most circumstances do not require recipients to be actively looking for work to maintain their payments.
Y'all faking disabilities? I hope not.
In his own book, he highlights how difficult it was to find consistent data on all of the government programs that might be available to these people. And of course, needlessly pointing the finger at assistance to some of society's most vulnerable people is not the point here. What is, though, is that according to data from the Department of Social Security, annual disability insurance payments have outpaced all other major programs. They provide the data as a table, but here is a nice visual line chart. Dr. Dwight R. Lee, an economist, also proposed that a major element that Eberstadt overlooked was that a lot of these men were working. They were just doing it in the underground economy, which was estimated to be contributing about $2 trillion, or about 12% of US GDP. This could include these people doing anything from working informal cash jobs to skirt tax and minimum wage laws, to outright illegal operations like shoplifting or selling drugs. So the work of these researchers paints an image of this growing group.
He said they working, it's just under the table. It's just, we can't report that on our taxes.
Group of individuals mooching off friends, family, and the government, while wasting their days away playing video games or being an overall burden on society. It's not exactly flattering, but to be fair, there are certainly people living these lives, and with nationwide or even global demographic trends like this, broad strokes need to be made. The researchers studying this trend are actually highly sympathetic to the situation of these people, and they seem motivated to actually fix the cause of these problems. I will of course be leaving a link to the full book in the video description if you want to read it yourself, as well as some great interviews these men have done that lets them articulate their grim feelings in a way that's a bit more human. The reality is that I can personally see if just a few things went differently in my own life, I could have easily fallen into the same comfortable trap. Most of you watching could have too, whether you realize it or not. But this still doesn't answer the most important question. Why is this becoming more common? Most people, if given the choice, would prefer a nice stable job with an income that could provide a standard of living beyond basic survival. But yet, more and more people are dropping out of even trying to look for a job every single year. There is unfortunately no single answer as to why people are giving up, but there are some contributing factors. Firstly, competition for good prestigious jobs have become far more fierce, while pay for basic jobs has not kept up with living costs. Technology has made it much easier to isolate oneself from the rest of the world, and there are other broader social issues like the opioid epidemic that at the very least have not helped this trend. One of the most damaging factors has been the insidious myth of the skills shortage, which has led to an economy where millions of people don't have a job, but there are millions of jobs that don't have people to fill them. I am going to be writing an article about how the idea of a skills shortage has been used to undermine the traditional career path of millions of Americans.
I think we got it, man. So men are giving up because the economy is trash and because they don't have a college degree, basically, is what I got from this video. Sure, I understand it. It's just like, I mean, me personally, bro, maybe it was the way I was raised, maybe it was the way I was taught, man, but man, I'm looking to adapt, bro. Like, I'm looking to, if I don't like my situation, bro, like, I'm looking to try to get out any way I can. I'm grinding as hard as I can to improve, bro. I don't know why that's apparently an increasingly uncommon view to have. I guess probably because we're all addicted to our phones, addicted to social media, so we're losing, like, you know, I can't really put a word to what that mindset is, but we're losing that, you know, in some way or form. But it's tough, man. Hope y'all boys enjoyed the video.